Chapter 59. Wrinkles from the Wine 1. Xu Qing frowned and turned to look. There were over 100 small jellyfish in a large group. They whistled over from the entrance of the canyon and pounced toward the guards and the young men and woman. The expressions of these people changed drastically and they immediately resisted, especially the few guards who risked their lives to stop them. As for the slightly older youth whom Xu Qing had noticed earlier, the spirit energy fluctuations of the 7th level of Che condensation spread out and his attack was filled with multicolored light. However, there were too many jellyfish and these jellyfish seemed to have resistances to spells. When they landed on one's body, the damage would be greatly reduced. However, they were extremely fast, their attacks were sharp and their coordination was agile. This caused 7 to 8 people to die in an instant. A youth who was originally dressed in luxurious clothes now had a look of despair in his eyes. The instant a jellyfish pounced at him, he scrambled to his feet and retreated, calling out to his friend at the 7th level of Che condensation for help. "Young Master Bai, save me." As he spoke, a beam of light whistled over and landed in front of him, blocking the jellyfish for a moment. This caused the youth to dodge at the critical moment, still in shock. Although Xu Qing was quite far away, he was still targeted by some jellyfish. 3 of them whistled toward him and were about to penetrate his body as usual. At the next instant, a cold glint flashed in Xu Qing's eyes. He then lifted his right hand and punched out. With a boom, his fist landed on the body of a jellyfish. This jellyfish's entire body trembled, unable to withstand the impact and directly broke into pieces. Xu Qing didn't stop. At the next moment, the dagger in his left hand appeared and he moved closer to the other jellyfish. His speed was faster than the jellyfish and his body was more agile than the jellyfish. In the blink of an eye, the 2-headed jellyfish's body was split into 2 halves. This scene was captured by most of the young men and women fighting against the jellyfish. As their hearts trembled, they instinctively moved closer to him. After consecutively killing the 3 jellyfishes, the other jellyfish also opened their demonic eyes and instantly pounced toward Xu Qing. This time, there were over 10 of them. Xu Qing's expression was as calm as ever. He didn't retreat, but rushed forward instead, transforming into an off-dreamage as he abruptly closed in. The dagger in his hand emitted a piercing cold light, and wherever it passed, the jellyfish would collapse amidst popping sounds. Following their deaths, a large number of anomalous substances spread out, causing the vegetation in the canyon to turn greenish-black in an instant. This included those in Xu Qing's lab. As for those injured guards, their expressions were also tainted by the anomalous substances. Seeing how his canyon had become like this, the killing intent in Xu Qing's eyes intensified. His body charged out once again. This time, his speed was even faster. Wherever he passed, the dagger would be brandished and the jellyfish would collapse one after another. However, he soon frowned. Under the corrosion of this anomalous substance, the dagger in his hand gradually couldn't withstand the impact and began to shatter. Xu Qing didn't have the time to feel heartache. With a wave of his hand, he drew the iron stick across several jellyfish in succession. During this time, he also scattered poison powder. Although the resistance of these jellyfish's bodies to poison wasn't small and it was difficult for the poison powder that permeated the surroundings to act up against them, Xu Qing didn't give up. This was because the poison wasn't only used for killing but also for neutralizing odors. In terms of weapons, Xu Qing was also lacking. Although the penetrative power of his iron stick was strong, it couldn't be compared to a dagger. At this moment, a low cry rang out from behind Xu Qing. "Friend, use Mistword," Ash spoke. A sword that emitted a cold light was thrown over from behind Xu Qing and he caught it with his backhand. From the corner of his eyes, he saw that the person who gave him the sword was none other than the youth called Young Master Bai. Xu Qing didn't say anything. After he held the long sword, he immediately felt that this sword was extraordinary. As he swung it, a sharp cold light instantly spread out from the sword. Although he didn't know how to use a sword, with its sharpness, Xu Qing still managed to slice through 7 to 8 jellyfish in an instant. As the number of jellyfish corpses on the ground increased, Xu Qing's body was covered in the blue blood released by the jellyfish. As for the 3 remaining guards and the young men and women, they were now behind Xu Qing. When they saw this scene, everyone's hearts pounded, and their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Too strong, has a body refiner, but what level is he at? Could he have reached the great circle of perfection? Judging from the spirit energy fluctuations, it doesn't seem like it's at the 5th or 6th level. Cultivation isn't important. What's important is this person's ruthlessness. At this moment, the hearts of the guards and the young men and women trembled intensely. They were shaken by Xu Qing's attack. Even young Master Bai sucked in a breath of cold air. The young girl in the crowd also felt her heart racing at this moment. She could sense how terrifying Xu Qing was and put away all her thoughts. From Xu Qing, she could sense the same aura from those clansmen, who were known as monsters from her family. The monsters in her family were all people who had killed many people. Every time she saw them, she would instinctively feel fear. At this moment, the feeling this youth gave her was the same. She didn't want to provoke such a person. This was especially so now that she had completed her mission and attracted a large number of jellyfish. Whether the people in the church could successfully obtain what they wanted from the jellyfish's nest in the depths of the jungle had nothing to do with her. After all, the danger this time had exceeded her expectations. Hence, her right hand reached into her clothes and grabbed a jade slip. It was a talisman treasure with the function of teleportation. This was also what she relied on. Just when she was hesitating on whether she should crush it or not, there was a boom at the entrance of the canyon. Dozens of jellyfish crawled out from there and charged over densely. This scene caused her to no longer hesitate. She directly crushed the teleportation jade slip in her hand, and her figure instantly vanished.